Yo, what's up, guys? What's going on? We are live with Crypto Canvas. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm feeling blessed, man. It's a very exciting time to be in crypto, and I've been talking about Onyx Coin XCN for about a month now. Started diving down the rabbit hole, and immediately people started sending me your content, or like, "Yo, you need to check out Crypto Future. He's been on this for years." So, super stoked because I still have more to learn. So I'm excited to chat with you.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. Yeah, I watched some of your stuff. Exactly the same thing. Like, I had a few community members, and then it just started like sharing your videos with me and check out Crypto Canvas, man. Check them out, and so I was checking out your videos, and I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I like this guy's style. You remind me a lot of Max. He's a friend of mine. He's Maximus Crypto. He's a buddy of mine, and he runs a channel too. And the way you kind of do things in your research and your stuff, you remind me a lot about him. And he's a really, really solid guy. So
Nice. Yeah, I've heard great things about him. I saw his video that he put out on VTAP and Quant, and I was like, okay, yeah, he's a deep researcher for sure. And I had a question for you. How long have you been into the Onyx coin kind of, world?
uh, probably about a year and a half, almost 2 years, something like that.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick your brain about it because there's so much mystery around it, and I think you probably have some good perspectives on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I, I did a lot of looking into in the past. I did a lot of looking into the whole JP Morgan now Connexus or whatever. And I couldn't really find any actual connection personally. But I absolutely love speculation. I absolutely love it. Right?
Yeah.
It's so much fun. So I figured, like let's chat about it here, and yeah, I mean, we'll start there, I guess, because that's where, well, actually, first tell me a little bit more about yourself, your background, how long you've been running your channel and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Silicon Valley. Like my middle school was a quarter mile away from Google's headquarters, but for some reason I never even heard the word blockchain or crypto until 2019. And I was like, "Damn, how come I just find out about this now?" Um, and so pretty much immediately, it only took me about a month, and I was like, "Oh, this is the future of the financial system." And then, shortly after that, the world shut down, and so I had a lot of time on my hands to start researching this stuff, and started going deep, doing the whole thing. And because I have an economics background, at the time I didn't even own a computer. I was like, kind of anti-technology in a way. I was kind of a hippie a little bit, but immediately, started learning about all this technology stuff. And here we are 5 years later. I think I'm a full-on tech nerd. And so about a year into the crypto rabbit hole, I discovered Economic Ninja, he's now massive on YouTube. But I found him when he had maybe 4,000 subs, something like that, and started talking to him, and he was immediately like, you need to start a crypto, YouTube channel and all this type of stuff. But I'd only been in it in a year, so I was like, I didn't feel ready, but I did start one, and it was called The Analyst. And I made some terrible content for like 6 months, and then canceled that, or not. It's still the same channel technically, but deleted everything. I was like, I'm over this, and spent another year researching, and I finally, like, I had big wins, I had big losses, and the big wins again, and I finally felt like I was ready to, I feel like I'm sitting on some pretty good information that the world might want to see. So kind of rebranded it Crypto Canvas, kind of the artistic element of what I want to bring to the table. And also, my end goal is also to build it as a canvas for like other creators. That's why I'm super grateful to collaborate with you, where we can all kind of share, and, because this space is so big, one person can only do so much. So that's kind of my grand vision for where this might end up.
Yeah,
So
that actually lines up perfectly with mine, because on a quick side note, the goal here is to get as many collaborations and stuff like that as possible going, because no one would just wants to hear my echo chamber all the time, right? Like, when I invite other people on and their opinions and their perspectives and stuff like that, right? So absolutely. Sorry, continue.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, I used to listen to Joe Rogan. He'd always talk about how in like the Hollywood fear, or just in like people wouldn't like to collaborate because there's like a competition element of it. But he likes, let's all just share, right? And I think, crypto YouTube, has its own little world, and I think sharing is we're all going to benefit from it. So yeah, so I really launched the channel because of two main projects, Block V and Stronghold, because they're absolutely massive. And I was like, there's no real research out there at the time about either one of these projects. So really launched it on Block V for like 10 videos in a row, and then switched to Stronghold. Started, and then that was all my plan. But since then, I just kept running. So I actually went on a live stream marathon earlier last summer where went live like 35 days in a row. I know you're live all the time, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up with you, I guess. But I've struggled with consistency, so I admire how consistent you are. But so shout out to Jetpack Joe. I know he's in your community as well. So he was saying, hey, check out Onyx Coin XCN. So we did some research live, and I had already done research on Velo. So like that first graphic, I had already used in a Velo video. So I was like, wait, is this the same chain? What's going on here? And after that, I never looked at Onyx Coin again for, maybe 4 or 5 months. And I was just on my couch one day and I was like, what happened to Onyx Coin? Let's look at that again. And started diving down the rabbit hole, and then, made some videos, and here we are. So, yeah.
Yeah, Jetpack's a solid dude. Solid dude. He's always sharing over on the Patreon and stuff like that, all kinds of links and everything to more Onyx Coin and your stuff and all kinds of stuff, right? So
yeah.
Solid.
That's what's awesome about putting that research out there is, there's so many, it's such a mysterious kind of, it has a mysterious element to it. So, people have been sharing links and, starting to kind of get, my bullishness is going up. I still have a tiny position in it, but, the more I'm seeing, people are sending me old interviews from Adam Ludwin, I'm starting to kind of slowly get more bullish on it. There's still some kind of gray areas for me personally.
Yeah. It's one of my bigger holdings, one of my biggest. We focus a lot lately on like over on their protocol and stuff like that. I mean, we focus on their DeFi staking and stuff. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. We stay constant in terms of being updated on their proposals and stuff like that on the DAO, and what they're doing. They've done some things with their proposals over on the DAO that I haven't seen done. When they tried to launch their stable coin, I don't know if you heard of it. They tried to launch one a few months ago, VUSD, and it ended up getting an exploit, so they got rid of it, right? Yeah. But some of the people that lost money, they actually reimbursed those people. They ran a proposal through the VOW to reimburse the people who lost money, and they actually, on top of the fact that they did an airdrop for VUSD for stakers of Onyx Coin. Like a buddy of mine got like $7,000 worth of stable coin from them for staking Onyx Coin. Like, so on top of giving all that away, they still reimbursed everybody as well, right? So
yeah, and that was something I was talking about to one of my buddies is like, where do they get all that money from? Like, how are they making that much money? So, that back to the conspiracies of, who's behind it. Because, to have enough money to just boom, refund everybody and do it like that is a really good sign.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's absolutely. And like, I've tried, man. I've gone over to their Telegram, and I've spoken with, the thing is that they don't really have a team per se, because it's a decentralized protocol, right? So the best you can do in terms of contacting anyone before they launched the ambassador program was actually just the Telegram, and they'd have like community leaders over on the Telegram that would best be able to explain whether it's a proposal or whatever it is that they're doing. But then now they got the ambassador program, who we were doing a weekly show with Wes on Sundays here on the channel. He was an ambassador, but he resigned because it was just too demanding for him, I guess. So I mean, it was hard to get any kind of information. I was hoping maybe get someone from the quote unquote team on the channel, and Wes and I were trying to do things like get them to give us instead, because they didn't want to do like any kind of AMA, because they wanted to, you know, they're community leaders, they're not team members. So what we wanted to do was we said, how about this? You take the top 10 or 15 most commonly asked questions from the community, give us the answers, and we'll do a live stream breaking down all of your answers for you to the community, right? Mm-hmm. And we still just didn't get anywhere. So
yeah. So I have a really big question is on the GitHub. Like, is there any way that you're kind of tracking, or is anybody in the chat that we can kind of track the development of the code or the protocol at all?
We don't have anybody in the community that's doing that right now. Wes might actually know how. I was actually thinking about putting together. Now I do what I cover JASMY a lot, as you probably gather. And I was thinking about doing an Onyx coin, like an XCN roundtable. I do a lot of JASMY roundtables, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about doing that, getting a few people together, maybe yourself, like Wes, and stuff like that, because Wes might actually be able to have some answers when it comes to that.
Yeah, that would be a really, really good thing, because yeah, I have an economics background, so I try to look at the GitHub, but I can only get so far. So I only really saw code development going up to 2018, and then there was some name changes about, you know, a year and a half ago, whatever that was. Now some of it might be private, or maybe I just don't know what to look at. But yeah, that would be awesome to get a roundtable for this. And you know, the way I kind of see Onyx as a potential play is maybe it's, you know, the future of banking is DeFi, right? So it would almost make sense that banks would want to kind of in stealth start kind of building out these DeFi protocols. And is that how you kind of see Onyx, or what's your like general macro thesis on Onyx and the future of it?
Well, I mean, yeah, very similar. I mean, going into working with banks for sure, but you know, these kind of things are going to replace traditional banks, in my opinion, altogether, right? I've said often that stuff like Onyx, XCN are going to make banks go the way of the dodo bird, the VHS, so to speak, right? Because when you think about it, you know, if you're able to stake, hold, they have their swap. Soon they're going to have a wallet, hopefully. I want to see them build out an entire ecosystem, maybe a launch pad, being a layer 2. And then, yeah, just at some point moving forward, you're not going to need traditional banks anymore because of these protocols. So I don't really lean as much towards working with the banks, maybe in a transitional phase over the years, but eventually to just be phasing them out, right? Where why am I going to leave my money in an account where you pay me 0.1%, you know, 0.001% interest, and then you charge me on the back end of that, so I make nothing, and then you loan my money out, and I can't go to the bank and take $5,000 out whenever I want. Yeah, but I can this way, right?
Yeah, 100%. And you know, bankers are smart people, right? We can give them that for sure. So they know this, right? They can see what's going on. So I guess my idea might be, right, this is tinfoil hat stuff. I need to start getting a tinfoil hat, but that maybe they're essentially just positioning themselves and helping fund these new decentralized protocols because, you know, the coin is a governance coin, right? So it would kind of make sense for them to position themselves in the new banking system, right? So even when they are phased out, they're already over there, potentially.
Well, they're definitely tipping their toes in the water in a lot of different ways. Like a few of them we've seen, like JP Morgan, trying to create centralized, so to speak, protocols that are the same. The problem is that they're not trustless, right? One bank's not going to trust another. Hey, use ours, you know, use sorry, no, bro, we don't trust you, right? Like, yeah. And people don't realize that's how banks operate. They don't trust each other any more than the average person does. Like I went to the bank. This was a few months ago. I shared this story before on the channel. I went to the bank and I got a certified check for $10,000, right? Now, I don't know, whereabouts are you in the States?
I'm in Texas.
You're in Texas. Okay. So yeah. So I don't know if certified checks are the same there, but in Canada, a certified check, essentially the bank, you get the check, you pay extra, like an extra $50 for a certified check. And what they do is they certify that the money on the check is in your account. They then freeze that money so you can't touch it, and then they give you a certified check, right? So boom, you have the money's locked up. It's a guarantee basically from the bank that it's there. I brought that certified check to another bank to deposit it, and they said, well, we're going to have to hold it for whatever 10 business days. I said, well, why? It's a certified check. The other bank, verified they're holding it. Well, we don't know them. Like we don't, and we're not talking small banks. We're talking national banks or larger ones, right? So it's that goes to show you the trust level between banks. They're not going to operate on like JP Morgan's controlled, centralized, network.
Yeah. Yeah. And for so long, we didn't have, the banks were like, because they also provide a lot of utility, right? To give them some credit, right? They keep our assets safe and all that good stuff. But now we have a technology where we don't need it anymore. Now, there are still some things that blockchain needs. You don't want to be holding all your net worth on a private key. It's like, that's very stressful and risky. So, there's still some work to be done there. And I think biometrics will probably end up playing a role in that solution. But yeah, now we have the technology where banks are essentially obsolete. They're probably just have been slowing things down so that they can catch up, right, with all these SEC stuff and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, it'll change now that we have new chair coming in. So what are your thoughts when it comes to this whole JP Morgan XCN connection? What are your thoughts on this? What's your speculation on it?
Well, yeah. At a certain point, at a certain point, to me, like it comes down to probabilities. There's probably going to be no way to know for sure one way or the other, right? So I pretty much built my case of why I think there is a greater than zero probability that JP Morgan and all those other banking institutions that were behind chain are essentially building Onyx coin as the future decentralized protocol that's going to replace banks, like we were just talking about. And there'll be many, right? But as one of them. But because it has to be decentralized by nature, they can't have their names attached to it and because then it wouldn't be a decentralized bank, right? So they need to basically clean their hands of it and throw it out into the ether. But maybe behind the scenes they're helping fund it, they're helping develop it potentially, right? There's just some evidence that suggests that might be true, right? But at a certain point you don't really know.
That's interesting. Yeah. I never thought about it that way. As if they did eventually, or if they did originally create it or own it, it would make sense for them to kind of not want to be associated with it, because then no one would trust it, like we just talked about. I see your point there. I do see your point there.
Yeah, I mean, and they were behind chain. I mean, not JP Morgan, right? But all the other, banking companies that, they're all connected in some way. But even if it's not JP Morgan, if it's just the other big banks, they were behind chain, and then it merged into Interstellar. And now when it got reacquired, it was reacquired by a private firm, and we don't know who that is. So, and then we also don't even know if that chain, what exactly is the relationship now with Onyx protocol. So, there's smoke, there's something that could be going on. But yeah, I mean, if I was a bank, if you and me ran a bank for the last 100 years, and we saw this blockchain coming, and we knew the future of banking is going to be decentralized and whatnot, we would try to build our own thing, like a Connexus, but we also might try to position ourselves into this new world as well, right? You got to play both sides. So yeah. I don't see why they wouldn't do that.
So, and now for the audience watching there, so how much do you know about Connexus? Just out of curiosity. Not much, or have you looked into it at all?
No,
I don't really know much. I don't really know too much about Connexus, what they do. I originally thought that what they were doing was they were trying to compete with the likes of XRP with cross-border payments and stuff like that. That's what I originally had thought they were doing. I have not invalidated that theory, but that was one of my theories, was that, or what I had heard was that that's what they were doing, which was part of the reason that XRP was under attack so much, to allow companies like JP Morgan to catch up to what they do. right?
Yeah, I have the Connexus white paper in one of my documents, and I read it, but my brain, I'm smart, but I got to read things like 5 times. So I need to go back and read it again slower. A lot of big words in there. And I was watching a YouTube video, and someone had a really good idea of like copy pasting them into Chat GPT and say, hey, tell me, explain this with bullet points simpler. So I'm going to start using that. But yeah, I don't have a full comprehension of what Connexus is doing.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions in the chat here so far. I like to try to keep up with it. Richie Rich says, welcome Crypto Canvas.
Thank you, Richie Rich.
Guys, yeah, make sure that you guys are going over and shooting him a sub as well, right? I put his channel up on the screen. So go shoot him a sub, guys. Make sure you're doing that. What else do we got? Any questions? Dumb Money says, welcome to the show, Canvas. You guys don't got no damn questions tonight or what?
I have a question. So the nodes that are coming out, what is that about? Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're only going to be able to be operated by either. From my understanding of it, the original ones are only going to be able to be operated by the ambassadors.
Oh.
And there's only going to be, I think, 6. So, like, obviously, I'm thinking what they'll end up doing is we'll probably end up seeing a proposal on the protocol, and we'll probably get a vote for obviously more because we want to operate these nodes, right? Like,
yeah.
So that's my understanding of it right now.
And is it for like a layer 1 that they're launching, or?
No, yes. It's they're not launching it, they're relaunching it. It was actually something that Onyx Core is what they had before, and they went away from it. They were just trying to go in a different direction, and what ended up happening as a result was their VUSD stablecoin was hacked or whatever, exploited, whatever word you want to use. So then they went back to operating on Onyx Core, which they've relaunched, and that originally came around the time they converted over from Chain, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
I'm still looking for the white paper on Onyx Core to do a more of a deep dive on it. From what I understand, it's just a more secured layer 1, basically, right?
Gotcha.
Rodney says, so if BlackRock owns Onyx, does that make it an American company? Everyone's always concerned about the tax implications with Trump coming into office.
Yeah.
I guess it would make it an American company, but you'd have to find a centralized source. Well, not necessarily a centralized source, but you'd have to find someone, because again, in all of my searches, I've been unable to find any kind of team member or developer or anything that I could talk to, right? So I don't know where that would lay it in terms of whether it's an American company or not.
Yeah, that's probably why they're having such hard times with, figuring out what to do with all this crypto stuff from a regulatory perspective. Is what do you do if something's like actually anonymous and decentralized? It's tough.
Yeah. You'd have to just treat it like Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
It would just automatically make it a commodity, a hedge. I don't know.
But if they're trading, because isn't Onyx DAO, like their Onyx protocol, eventually planning to basically be able to in a decentralized way, trade securities potentially in the future, like tokenized securities?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
I know they have.
I'm making it up, but it seems like it would be something you should do.
Oh yeah, if they want to keep moving in that direction, I don't know if you use the protocol or anything like that. Do you stake or anything?
No, I haven't staked yet. No.
Yeah, the APR is just too good to turn down right now. 30.04%. It used to be closer to 40. It was over 40 at one point, but the more people that are joining the staking pools, obviously the smaller the pie gets for everybody, right? So, no, I'm not doing any farming either. I don't know if obviously if you're not doing any staking, you're not using their farming either, right?
No, yeah, I haven't gone that deep yet. It's been on my to-do list to stake at least, a percentage of my bag for sure.
Mhm. So what are your thoughts on what's going on in the market right now? This massive, well, I mean, what some people are labeling massive. For me, it's like, ooh, Bitcoin's down like 9.46%. So, like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
where do you stand at? Like, how are you feeling about things? And do you feel that, I guess I'm asking a lot here. I'll ask one at a time. So let me know where do you stand on all that right now?
Yeah, no, I like what you said. We're like, a lot of people think it's big. It's nothing because, you know, I always tell my people who are new into crypto, like the sooner you can get to almost being sociopathic to like the price action, the better, right? Because I mean, the volatility doesn't do anything to me anymore, right? And once I like got to that point, I was like, okay, I made it, right? Like because it's just part of the game. It's just noise, right? So I'm really just paid attention to the big picture, and I mean, history tells us that the cycle's not over. We probably have 6 months to 12 months left. There hasn't been an altcoin season, so could that cycle that's happened every single time in history be broken? It could happen, but it's never happened. So anything that between now and then is just kind of noise to me. Market makers are going to do what they do. You know, have retail flood in, and then time some very bearish news right when retail's flooding in, drop it 10% and then take it higher again.
Yeah,
So
my target for the top ish of the bull run isn't till sometime between the middle of September and the middle of November. Personally, I usually stick closer to the traditional 4-year cycle because it's the only thing that's remained actually consistent over the course of crypto's history. And going backwards, you see an average of about 525 days between the Bitcoin halving and the peak of each cycle, right? So that would land us right around the middle of October.
yeah,
So and you're not going to hit exact. That's why I say probably the middle of September to the middle of November, somewhere in that 3-month window is where you're gonna, you know.
100%. Yeah, and if you look at like the total market cap, last time we broke out, last cycle we broke out in December of 2020, and we broke out at the previous high in which was in 17. And after we broke out, we like had like a pullback, a shakeout, consolidation for about 3 to 4 weeks, and we're just seeing the same exact thing right now. And so until we like kind of really break that level, I mean, it's really bullish, right? When you break a level, you want to come back, test it. I mean, we're going into an election where the president just did an ICO like 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like you couldn't imagine anything more bullish. It's insane.
Yeah, well, this is what I like to show people as often as I can is like, look at all of these corrections on the way up, right? And these are way deeper than what we're even seeing right now in Bitcoin. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw, like I said, over the last 3 days, I think we've seen about a 9.46% correction or something like that. Or like we could see literally like a 30% correction, right? And
Yeah.
that's when that's when the little piggies really start to squeal.
Yeah, and that's when I get happy because I'm like, okay, like once the retail is super scared, I'm like, okay, it's bullish. Like we can flip bullish again. When we were getting really hot, right? There was FOMO everywhere. Everyone was a genius there for about a month and a half. So I love these times. It makes me happy to see the pullbacks. Now, of course, anything could happen, right? I mean, literally anything could happen. Peter Diamandis, who's friends with Elon Musk, and I'll drop this. I was saving this for my channel, but I want to drop it because it's super interesting. Peter Diamandis is, I mean, if you know, you should learn about him. But he is behind Block V, and like really played a big role in that. And
Mhm.
I just found out, shout out to Shook Focus Digital. He made a nice video, and I was like, wait. And I paused it, and one of the seed investors of Chain was Peter Diamandis.
Ah,
And like, there's something to that, in my opinion. And I forgot where I was even going with that. But yeah, Peter Diamandis talks about how we're living in an exponential age, right? So the technology is going like this. So those of us who are going to thrive are those of us who can, change and learn new things the quickest and adapt the quickest. So even though I'm 100% a believer in this 4-year cycle theory that's never been broken, and that's my plan A, we have to be ready for anything, like literally anything. Yeah. To the upside or the downside.
I do talk a lot over on the Patreon about there's certain projects that I'm starting to look at through more of a TradFi lens now that we're getting, because things are changing slowly. I mean, we're seeing ETFs, we're seeing government adoption, we're seeing massive companies putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets and stuff, right? So in that aspect, things are certainly changing. So it starts to slowly shift my view of certain projects through more of a TradFi lens, right? Whereas it's up till now, it was always 4-year cycle, buy, sell in the bull runs, clear everything out, buy back in the bottom, rinse and repeat, blah, blah, blah. Well, now there's certain projects that I start to look at more as longer term holds, like I would look at the Magnificent Seven or something, right? Stuff like JASMY, stuff like XRP, things like Ondo, right? Those types of projects, because you are right. You want to stick to the 4-year cycle until it breaks, right? But there has to be a reason why. I think that we do need to see a big shakeup in crypto. And I think it's going to go in multiple directions. I think that you're going to see stuff like the S&P 500 for crypto. You're going to see, your pre-IPO class, but hopefully they never do install any kind of accredited investor bullshit into the crypto world. But then you have the memes and stuff like that I believe are going to have to start. We're going to have to start seeing like meme coin exchanges and stuff, that because we need degrees of separation from meme coins to utility coins, because every time something bad happens with a meme coin, someone starts talking about XRP in the same breath, or they start talking about Cardano in the same breath, or whatever, enter your utility coin, and it's frustrating because it's apples and oranges, right?
Yeah. I mean, gambling's essentially, or meme coins are essentially gambling. With a kind of a cultural phenomenon element of it. I don't think that's going to go away, but I do think exactly what you said. There's going to have to be some kind of framework where you have to, maybe click something and watch a video that's 2 minutes long explaining what meme coins are, and then now you can access the exchange and play your games essentially.
Yeah, you're also starting to see things like there's this new program or whatever that you can launch meme coins off of. I think it's called Rug Ninja.
Rug
Have you heard
Ninja?
of this?
No, I haven't heard of it.
So apparently Rug Ninja, what it is, from what I understand, I got to do more research into it, but from what I understand, you can launch meme coins through that, and it actually, because you did it through there, it doesn't allow the creator to sell more than like 2% of the bag or something, of the holdings or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it screens the contract so that there's not like a you can buy but you can't sell BS, kind of put in there. So if we can get those kind of programs into meme coins as well, right, that would weed out a lot of the rugs, because people could create these meme coins but they couldn't suck all the liquidity out. They wouldn't be able to. So.
Yeah, no, it's going to be super. There's so much change ahead of us. Like even in crypto, we're still so early. It's pretty wild. And, I have this like kind of idea about centralized exchanges, how I think even centralized exchanges might be like we were talking about banks, how they might end up being a thing of the past. Because I've been listening to a lot of these like tech people at the top, and they're saying that the Web3 wallet is the killer app of blockchain. So essentially we're all going to have a Web3 wallet, and there's going to be like a global peer-to-peer DEX with everything built into it. Because why, like a centralized exchange, it's called centralized. So it's kind of the antithesis of blockchain itself.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little side note, but yeah, I guess the bigger picture is just that there's so much change ahead of us, and it's super exciting to be a part of it in any way and kind of keep up with all this.
Yeah, that's what I try to stress to people, is that people don't even realize how early they are, and because it's become so cliche to say and to hear, but it truly is. We're literally just rolling up tomorrow on the 1 year anniversary of the first Bitcoin ETF.
Mm.
Like, it's a year tomorrow. Like, we're early, man, and a lot of there will be more. What frustrates me as well is when people say 99% of crypto are going to go to zero. That is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, and it's mostly Bitcoin maxis that say it, but I have heard like Brad Garlinghouse say it, and I'm just like, Brad, what are you talking about? Like, why is the Web3 gaming projects, why are they going to go to zero because Bitcoin exists? That doesn't make any sense. That's like saying anything that's not Amazon in the stock market is going to go to zero. Dunkin' Donuts stock is going to go to zero because Amazon. That doesn't, because they don't correlate. They're not the same thing. They're not competitors. Why would it go to zero? It doesn't make sense. If someone said 99% of meme coins will go to zero, all right. Okay, I can see how that could happen. But to say 99% of all crypto is going to go to zero is absurd.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a book that was out, I think in the 90s, called Snow Crash, where they described like a very future economy that I think is kind of being built right now, where essentially there's one big global economy, but within it, there's like every network has its own micro economy on different scales. So like games, for example, each game will have its own coin with its own little network, right? Each, insurance company, every crypto community, right? Whatever. There's going to be thousands, if not more, of these. Now, I do think when I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. Like, do you think there's going to be like a top, 5 or top 10, kind of similar to, Fang and whatnot in crypto? Or do you think it's going to be kind of more spread out? And this is impossible to predict, by the way. We're just having fun.
Yeah, I think that it's my personal opinion on it is that the top 10 and outside of Bitcoin, obviously, for some time. But I do believe, not in my lifetime, I do believe, though, at some point, Bitcoin will not be the number one crypto anymore. I'll be long dead and dust by that time because it would take other projects so long to catch up. But especially with the mass adoption of Bitcoin now, it's going to get a massive head start. But outside of Bitcoin, the top 10 is always going to be an evolving thing for me. I don't think it's going to be as much like the Magnificent Seven kind of thing, right? Because there's more degenerates, so to speak, in crypto than there is in TradFi markets. And the reason we have all these degens, again, is because we don't have an accredited investor program in crypto, right? So that's why they all poured in. And it's a double-edged sword for me, because when I first heard about accredited investor programs and stuff like that, I thought it was all bullshit, because their main excuse was that the average retail investor was not mature enough to invest in pre-IPO companies because of the volatility and stuff. And I thought, oh, that's horse crap. Then I started running this channel. Now I kind of see what they're talking about, right?
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe they could lower the accredited, from $1 million to maybe even 100,000. Honestly, like, it might be a little steep, but yeah, I mean, I think that maybe there is definitely an argument there that there should be some people should be protected from themselves, but then again, freedom, right? That's the classic debate of, whether it should be a law to wear a seatbelt, right? This type of stuff. So,
well, Gary actually tried to increase it in 2022 to $10 million.
That's crazy.
At the SEC. You didn't hear about it? Yeah, Gary they were trying because too many people were becoming millionaires through crypto. And, they wanted to continue to isolate, the ability to go into pre-IPO companies. So, yeah, they tried to bump it up to 10 million, but it got rejected. But it's not a surprise that they would try to do that, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, if I was dictator of the world, I would say no barrier into entry. Like, survival of the fittest. If you can't, you got to learn the hard way, sometimes.
Well, that's exactly it. And investing there should be some sort of guardrails, just like there is well, I mean, I guess there's not really guardrails in gambling, but it's a dangerous game for some people investing because some people are just so easily, especially in crypto, manipulated, and they'll just believe any dumb shit they see. That's why you see so many stupid thumbnails all over YouTube all the time, right? Like 589, and like it's just these completely unrealistic targets, and people believe it because it's what they want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, yeah, like even with gambling, I've worked at a casino before, and so there are like regulations to make sure that the gambling is fair and that it's not completely fixed by the casino. So there should be some element of that as well, right? There should be some regulations, like we were talking about with meme coins, that the founder isn't just dumping 50%. So yeah, it's a fine line between all of this. But I think overall, why I like being in crypto is the community. I think it's generally a lot of conscious, awake people are drawn to crypto. Maybe because it's early and it's not mainstream, so certain types of people are drawn to things that are not mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get the silly people in the comments as well, for sure.
Well, I think that class of people you're talking about is that a lot of people feel and have felt over the last, I don't know, since let's say between around 2019, 2020, since around that time frame, I think that a lot of people have felt like there's no other way, there's no other hope. This is their only chance because of what the governments have done in terms of printing money and rates and, just shutting everything down. And the economy is just in the toilet. And I think that a lot of people are like, well, I could throw my fiat that's becoming more and more worthless every day into crypto and hope for the best, or I'm screwed. I'm just going to live paycheck to paycheck till I die. Some people can't even do that.
Yeah, man, you're dropping bombs. Yeah, 100%. I've had that same exact thought. And, it reminds me of when I got into crypto, I put literally every single penny I had because I was like, worst case scenario, I lose it all. But if I lose it all, I'm pretty much the same spot. So what do you have to lose? I mean, like if you only have 7,000, you lose it all. I mean, life doesn't change that much you can get it back in 5 months. So yeah, the window is, and especially with artificial intelligence coming, right, and the automation of jobs, and it's gonna get weird. Whether some people say we might move back to a two-tier society like we were before 100 years ago. Really, the middle class is a new experiment. So it's gonna be interesting to see what can be done to maintain some sort of escape through, or kind of ladder up and down. But with the automation of jobs, yeah, I think people are seeing crypto as one of the only ways out.
Yeah.
Financially. Yeah.
Luke says we've formed a massive cup and handle. I guess he's talking. I don't. Do you do much TA? I don't know.
Yeah, I do a lot of TA. I don't really do it too much on my YouTube, but I do TA like pretty much every day. Yeah.
I see what he's saying here with the cup and handle.
Yeah, it's not a perfect cup and handle, but I see what he's saying there. There also was like kind of a bull flag. You could argue there was a bull flag. I mean, it's coming up into major resistance, but the good thing is if it breaks out of that resistance, there's nothing for a while.
Yeah, that's what I had painted here was this bull flag, and then that's why my next target was up here. But I'm also kind of seeing my chart's getting real messy here, but I'm starting to see a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders here as well. I try to tell people, like, you can usually, when you look at a chart, and no one really talks about this, but usually when you look at a chart, you can usually identify at least 2 or 3 different patterns between bullish and bearish. And it's like, that's what gets me when people are like, oh, like this TA said this. Well, hey man, there's like 4 different patterns on this chart right now, right? Like,
yeah.
So you could call this a double top, right? Like that's bearish. So it's,
Yeah, my mind always like naturally thinks in probabilities. Like someone's like, what's the chance you're coming to my birthday? I'll be like 72% chance I'll be there. People are like, that's kind of weird to say. So, not everybody works like that. So TA is something that you have to, there's like, many probabilities that are all working together. and it's almost an art form, and it's definitely, if it was a crystal ball, we'd all be billionaires. But it definitely works. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, to a degree. Now, I think like the lower market cap cryptos, TA can get invalidated like with one news headline, right? I mean, any TA really, but especially low market caps. So yeah, there's a bullish argument here. There's also a bearish one, right? Some slight bearish divergence and whatnot. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if we have a little bit more of a pullback, which I honestly kind of feel like we're going to, I don't think we're quite down yet. I mean, 92K on Bitcoin's held pretty good. I just wouldn't be shocked if we came down inside the. Oh, I guess we're not even on my Bitcoin chart. I wouldn't be shocked if we came down inside of this little box here. I mean, a lot of people are calling for the CME gap down here. I just don't think that's going to happen between 7. I think that'll fill probably on the way down in the bear market.
Yeah,
personally. But I think it's possible. I've been banging on this drum for a week, so we're going to come down there's a possibility between 85 and 88.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation about this being a head and shoulders pattern. If it is, then for sure we're coming down here, right? But
yeah, you don't want to see that play out. But I mean, the crazy thing is, I mean, Bitcoin could go to 70,000 and it would still be in an uptrend. So that's definitely not my base case. I'm not, that's also where the 200-day moving average is and all that good stuff. I've been looking at the $88,000 level going into the inauguration. And, the big question was his inauguration going to be like a buy the rumor, sell the news? It kind of looks like a sell the news, buy the rumor. It might end up being the opposite of that, where we kind of go bearish into it and then, pop up after it.
Because we sure as hell ain't buying it right now.
No. Yeah.
Craig says,
it could go. It's gonna get crazy. There's gonna be wild volatility. If you're new to crypto, man, I would say don't be looking at prices every day.
Here's what I tell people. I went on a rant about this in a video this afternoon. If you're in times like this, if you're not DCAing, why the hell you see that the market is red today? Why are you even opening your portfolio? It makes zero sense to me. You're just scaring yourself for no good reason, right? If you're not buying, who gives a shit what the prices are right now? If you have no intention of selling today and you have no money to buy today, why are you opening your portfolio? What does it matter what the numbers are, right?
Yeah.
It's dysfunction. People thrive on dysfunction, right? Stress myself out.
Yeah, and that's part of the joy. I don't want to take that away from people fully because, the emotional roller coaster. But, if you want to make the best decisions, you definitely want to stay calm. Now, if someone's checking it every day and they're not DCAing, maybe they overinvested. Also, it's hard because, we've been in crypto for so long. So a lot of our entry points are much lower than we were today. So like if you were just entering, a month ago, it's a little bit harder to manage. But fair. Yeah, then you just got to manage your risk appropriately. And then really, I've been telling people, if you're brand new, like, plan for, this 2025, because I think it's going to be, I'm massively bullish personally. But also plan for the bear market next year, because that's where the real legends are made. Start learning the fundamentals, start learning the skills. TA itself takes a very long time to get even competent at. So start planning for that, really. But, also play this cycle a little bit as well, get your feet wet. But,
Yeah, education is big. And that's something I was talking about, I think, yesterday, is that it's like right now, and I'm sure you've noticed this too. I don't know if you've done many live streams lately or made too many videos, but what I can tell you is that views always are down right now because the market's down. And that's the opposite of how things should be, right? You should be paying more attention when things are red and down and in a bear market than you do when things are green, right?
Literally, yeah. Like if you're serious, because I think not everybody takes crypto serious. That's probably a big foundational problem, is people are just like, oh, I'm just going to kind of, play it or whatever. And that's fine. It's not for everybody. People have other things going on. But I believe it's the future of the whole global financial system. Automation of jobs are coming. We're in the exponential age. The world's going to change more in the next 10 years than it did in the last 100. So I think we should be taking this serious. And I think people who take it serious are those who stick around in the bear markets and stick around. There's a lot of fly-by-night kind of folk. But 100%, you hit the nail on the head right there. Yeah, you got to double down on content, or learning and growing in the space in bearish times.
Well, we were talking the other day about a little bit of speculation about an interview that Elon Musk gave about a week ago, and he said that they anticipate, those robots. What do they call those robots that Elon's making? I don't remember what they're called.
Optimus, I think.
Yes, Optimus. Yeah. Yes, you're right. The Optimus robots. They anticipate by 2040 to have more of those robots on the planet than humans. There's going to be one in every household.
And you know who he was telling that to? He was telling that to Peter Diamandis.
Yes.
And he was the seed investor in Chain. And I go, yeah. But yeah.
But the point of what I was saying there is that there are a lot of crypto companies that are going to be able to have opportunity. Like, I don't know how much you know about JASMY, but I talk about it all the time. But they have a thing, a layer 2 called Junction, and they have the ability to securely organize and store data, right? And accumulate said data from IoT devices, right? They have a partnership with Panasonic, all that stuff. And it would be the perfect partnership for something like them to be integrated into their robots, because what they do is they collect IoT data, because these robots have to be sending data back to some sort of a source, right? I would assume that they're going to be collecting data just like every other IoT device is moving forward. We're moving into a future where that's smart cities, smart TVs, smart cars, smart homes. Like, they're always sending data back, right? They're always collecting information. And I use, for example, the smart TV, that from now, the way that these marketing companies get information is through IoT devices like smart TVs. It tells them what times your household is watching TV, for example, right? What channels you watch, and then how to target you for marketing and stuff, right? What streaming services do you use, right? Like,
yeah,
that's just one example.
Let me grab something.
Yeah. So we got some questions here. Sounds great, but where's the XCN 10 Vegas retirement party, 10-cent Vegas retirement party? Yes. Absolutely. Shook's in the house. Jetpack keeps telling me to check Shook out. I haven't had an opportunity yet, but he keeps telling me check out Shook. Yeah,
Shook Focus Digital has amazing content. Really also has really artistic style, and he's collected a lot of clips of Adam Ludwin and over the years, which are hard to find. So I'm subscribed to Shook Focus Digital 100%.
I'm going to check him out probably tonight. Just forfeit. We don't do the altcoin requests when we have guests on the channel. But what I will tell you is my thoughts on Proppy. Proppy is one of the projects I plan on scooping up a whole crap load of at some point. I'm very bullish on their utility, so very, very bullish on Proppy. Do you know about Proppy at all?
No, not really. I mean, I get the gist, tokenizing real estate, and that's going to be massive for sure.
So Craig says he watches your stuff all the time. So you said Stronghold. Max, my buddy Max is pretty up on Stronghold as well. What is Stronghold?
So it's basically using blockchain technology. They have something called Stronghold Net, which basically makes the ACH network instant in real time, which is obviously massive. So. And it makes it cheaper for everyone using the ACH network. So they're not getting charged by all these fees, instant settlement, all that good stuff. And it sits on top of the rails of Stellar and Ripple.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why Max likes it so much. It's on the rails of Stellar and Ripple. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, the first ever developer on Stellar is one of the co-founders, and he was also the first Ripple gateway in 2013. So it's like basically the pioneers of those ecosystems split off to found Stronghold. It's already pumped up a lot. So from a TA perspective, you know, it's always hard to kind of look at something that just went up like that. But it's something to, you know, watch on your radar for any kind of dips and double down on that research and whatnot.
Well, there's still, it looks like it still has some potential catalysts. It's only listed on really MEXC, Gate.io, and BitTrue and Bitmart for centralized exchanges. So if they could get a couple of listings like KuCoin and, you know, LBank and a few more tier 2, maybe a tier 1 or so,
Yeah.
there's some catalysts. There's some catalysts left still for that one.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, Coinbase is invested. So, and you know, the way that they move is like they're all about regulations. You know, they didn't do an ICO, like all the things. So I think, you know, once the regulations pass, they'll be on Uphold and Coinbase and everything. But I grabbed this book, wanted to show the audience. It's called, because you were talking about the IoT. Where's my camera? Oh, right here. It's called The Spatial Web.
Okay.
Highly recommend you guys read it. It was forwarded by Peter Diamandis, right? Who's Elon's best bud, founded X Prize. We just talked about him a little bit. But he says right here that we're entering the most extraordinary time in human history, where we're going from a 2-dimensional digital world where we've been living in our phones to a 3-dimensional web in which AI, VR, blockchain, and Internet of Things all combine to turn the world into an auto-magical place where every room in a building or house is addressable. Every object inside those rooms is smart and has their own cryptocurrency wallet that you can connect with. The spatial web is enabling, if you would, the Oasis from Ready Player One.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. This book, don't read this book before you go to sleep because it's pretty wild.
It makes me want to be younger again. Like, you know, I'm gonna miss out, you know, but it's gonna happen so fast too, right? Like, so.
Yeah, I mean, Peter Diamandis is also like all in on life extension. You know, he thinks that AI is going to be able to reverse our aging. I mean, you know, personally, I'm not going to be merging with machines, but you know, if there's a way that we can kind of slow the aging process down through AI figuring natural ways out, you know, it's possible for sure.
Sign me up, man.
Yeah, 100%.
They're talking about that quantum computing chip communicating with other realities or something. Like, I don't know if you saw anything about that. You know about the quantum computing chip, obviously, right?
Yeah. I mean, I know about quantum computing as a whole, or like the gist of it. You know?
Yeah, that's what Google said. Apparently, they said that this chip, the reason it can calculate things so fast is that it's found a way to tap into and communicate with itself in other realities or universes or whatever they said. That's so it talks to like a million of itself, and they all work on one little part of the problem, and then they put it all together, and that's why they can do it so fast. It's something like that, Google. So I was like, Joe Rogan was talking about it, and they were breaking it down on his show, and he was like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah. I mean, what happens when like AI, they were saying like something that I heard that made me like kind of realize is like, if you ask me a question, right, and then I think about it and I answer it, that the AI is going to get to the point where like when you ask it a question and it answers, it's equivalent to us spending like one person spending like 1 billion years thinking about that one answer. Something like that.
Wow. See, that's insane. It's scary, man.
Yeah, it's a little spooky.
Elon's terrified about it, right?
Yeah, and in that interview that we were talking about with Peter Diamandis, he said there's a 20% chance that it goes bad, which is like pretty high.
Yeah. If it was 1%, I'd still be a little bit apprehensive. I got kids, so there's no way that one of those robots is going to be in my house.
Yeah,
we've all seen the first wave of technology. My first Xbox always goes haywire first, so I'm not getting the first wave of robots.
yeah.
The 100%. Death thing. Oh man. All right, brother. Well, yeah, listen, man, if you're, you have an open invitation. If you ever want to come back on the channel, man, like, I'll try to get some sort of like a round table together. If you're down to, to join that as well. Just let me know, man. Let me know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, we're so early in that community, so if it ends up being what we think it might be, then I think, yeah, starting to build a community and have roundtables and kind of stay up to date and teach each other and is a blessing. So super grateful to be on your show today, and I'm gonna get around to doing live streams like you do, and when I get around to that, I'll send you an invite as well.
Anytime, brother. I'm down anytime, man.
All right, appreciate everybody in the chat as well, and yeah, we'll do this again.
Yeah, make sure you guys go shoot him a sub again. His channel is right here on the screen, guys. Crypto Canvas. Solid content, guys. I watch it myself, so make sure you guys are going and checking it out, all right? All right, brother. You take care, and I'll see you again, man.
Yeah, much love, brother. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
brother.